Your alumni love helping students and fellow graduates, but they simply don't have time to attend every event, answer every call, or learn yet another online platform. With Protopia, making an impact is easier than it's ever been before. Ever. There's no new app to sign up for or use in our already busy lives. Students, alumni, or even staff can quickly ask for advice or networking via a simple form, email, or text. Protopia's artificial intelligence searches the institution's existing alumni data to find the best experts that are the most likely to assist based on experience, availability, location, and other factors. Each matched alum receives a direct, blind email to ask them to help, giving alumni full control over if and how they want to respond, whether that's by email, call, or a virtual meeting. And if it's not a good time, Protopia's AI simply reaches out to the next alum until the question has been answered. The student receives advice right into her email inbox and is coached to engage the alum to grow her professional network. Finally, our rich dashboard lets staff follow along, view detailed engagement analytics, and access updated alumni data. Protopia. Simple for them, simple for you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for listening to Alumless World for April 4th, 2025. This is the Leading Advancement Across Borders edition. On Alumless World, we talk about constituent engagement strategies and education advancement, but from a global perspective. While on Alumless, our topics and discussions are very U.S.-centric. On Alumless World, we try to take a broader view of advancement and how colleges, universities, and international schools are working to build a culture of engagement and philanthropy. I'm Ryan Catherwood, and I am joined by my fantastic Alumless World co-host, Nicole Kempton. What's going on, Nicole?
Hi, Ryan. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Glad to see you again.
Yeah, it's going to be a great episode today.
We publish a new episode of Alumless World every other Friday at 11:30 a.m. GMT. And similar to the original Alumless, we broadcast a 30-minute show live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and then an additional 30-minute bonus segment available only on the Alumless World podcast feed. So if you're listening to us by podcast, we appreciate you adding us to our feed. And we invite you to follow Chris Marshall Advancement Consulting on LinkedIn.
And as always, we're grateful to Max Leiston and the team at Protopia for being our Alumless World presenting sponsor.
All right. I am excited about today's show. I met our guest today a bunch of years ago now, actually on a previous podcast iteration. Emily Robin at the time, I believe, was working for the American School of Paris. And she has a wonderful set of experiences. It's been a little while, and we're going to talk with Emily now because she is now the Associate Dean for Advancement at the London Business School.
Yeah, and Emily's had over 20 years of experience in advancement across the world, including at world-leading institutions. You named one, the American School of Paris, but also University of Pennsylvania and Bryn Mawr College, which happens to be right down the street from where I was born in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, and also INSEAD, and now, of course, at London Business School. So a whole lot to talk about today.
All right. Well, let's bring Emily out to the feed from the green room. Hey, Emily, great to see you.
Hi, Ryan. Hi, Nicole. So nice to see you both.
Good to see you as well. So maybe, Emily, we can start with some background about you, because you've had an impressive career journey from the US to France, now the UK. We'll sort of half and half because I understand you're commuting back and forth. Can you share a bit about how you just got involved in advancement in the first place, and what are some key moments that have shaped your career?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, let me just say, again, a big thanks to you and to Ryan for inviting me to join you today. It's really a pleasure. And yeah, to answer very directly, to be honest, there are some days when I still sort of pinch myself and think, how did this Cajun girl from South Louisiana end up working for one of the world's top business schools in such an amazing city as London. Certainly growing up, I never answered the "what do you want to be when you grow up" question with the answer of fundraiser. I didn't even have an idea, as many of us, I think, in this profession probably would attest. I didn't even have an idea that this profession really existed. But going on to college, to university, at Penn and at Wharton, I was there on a massive amount of scholarships myself. I then went off to grad school, actually here in London, as the recipient of a Touron Fellowship. And then I was back at Penn immediately after grad school, working as a linguistic researcher on a massive NSF-funded grant project. And it was really through a combination of these experiences that I started to get this context for understanding the role of philanthropy in supporting the core teaching and research missions of institutions of higher education, institutions like the ones that I've worked at primarily. And I was hooked on advancement, hooked on working with the alumni and supporter communities that support the work of our faculty, that support the diversity of our student body, that support the kinds of outreach that great institutions do in the communities where they're hosted. I took my first advancement job as Assistant Director of Development for Undergraduate Financial Aid at Penn. That was quite a mouthful of a title of a role. It was an amazing opportunity because I immediately had this sense of being able to give back in a way that was very tangible and very real to my own experience, having been a named scholar at Penn as an undergrad. I haven't looked back since. I've had the chance since then to work and support such great institutions. I think you listed them earlier: Wharton, Bryn Mawr, ASP, the American School of Paris. My one foray into the school space, which was a lot of fun, and working with great teachers and great young students as well. And then in now, of course, here at London Business School. And it's been an amazing journey. And I've had really the great experience of working with just phenomenal people across each of these institutions and in all of the different groups that I mentioned, and not the least of which the colleagues who work in advancement in these different institutions.
Emily, you mentioned some of your academic pursuits. You have degrees in international studies and business and linguistics. And I guess the question is how has this interdisciplinary background influenced your approach to global advancement?
So, I mean, I think when we're working in this space, as you'll know, and as folks who follow your podcast will certainly know as well, we are working with people from all sorts of backgrounds, from all over the world. And being curious, I think, is so important. So having a personal educational background where I had the flexibility and the ability to pursue several different lines of inquiry, let's say, educationally, I think that has really fostered for me the sense of curiosity that I bring to our work with our alumni and our supporters, and also the work internally in our institutions as well. Being curious about the work that our faculty are doing, being curious about where our students are coming from and what has inspired them or motivated them to want to be at our institution. This really truly has been a significant factor for me as I think about the work that I do and the teams that I lead. If we can be curious, if we can be out there asking questions, inviting people to engage with us, inviting people to share their experiences, their passions, their desires for the impact that they'd like to make in the world, I think that's really putting us in a great position as advancement professionals. I'll have to say as well, working at one of the world's top business schools and having worked at two other amazing business schools in both INSEAD and Wharton, having that solid business background and having done an undergraduate degree at Wharton in business, that certainly has helped as well. We're frequently working with in our donor work, working with folks who are thinking about sophisticated ways to structure their philanthropy. They're coming from often quite successful business backgrounds, and having some vocabulary and some fluency in that space is certainly helpful as well. But this idea of interdisciplinary, this idea of approaching the world with curiosity and having that rootedness in a solid business space, I think have all served me very well in the work that I'm doing.
I love that quote of curiosity is inviting people in, right? And I think that's so important. So you at LBS, you lead a team of 65 professionals, and that's a pretty big team. What motivated you to take on that challenge, and what's your personal philosophy as a leader on building a high performing advancement team, and how has that approach maybe evolved as you've traveled through your career?
Great question. As you mentioned earlier, I actually commute to London to work here
How is
at
this
LBS.
possible?
How is this possible? This is
That's
possible, and I can make a little plug for Eurostar. The Eurostar service is actually quite reliable, and I'm going to touch wood there, do a little bit knocking on this table here, but it's possible because in part Eurostar, it's possible in part because I have an incredible family at home and a wonderful husband who's incredibly supportive of my aspiration to be a part of this opportunity at LBS, and kids who support that as well, and also colleagues here at LBS who are awfully understanding of having a senior manager, a senior leader of the school who's on a compressed work week. So I do a bit of a commute from Paris, where I'm still living, to London, coming in for a good part of the week, and really working with the team very closely while I'm here. But I'm also traveling, as you can imagine, a fair amount on behalf of the school. But you did ask about sort of the philosophy, what motivated me to take on the role, but also the philosophy about building and supporting high-performing advancement teams. And maybe there's a little bit of interaction between these two, right? In particular, for why I made the choice to come across the channel and join LBS. I've always liked opportunities where there's a bit of a challenge, where there's sometimes a bit of a knotty situation, a gnarly situation, where you need to look at it and try to unpick it and get back to a situation where we can tie up a beautiful bow. And I think that is a little bit of the opportunity that was presented with LBS. We had some history at the school where, unfortunately, we were without a leader in the advancement department for a little bit over a year by the time I joined. And that really meant that we had an opportunity to think about how do we really get our team back on track to really perform in the way that our team is absolutely capable of doing, have the highest performance possible, take some obstacles out of the path so that people can be really firing on all cylinders and doing the kind of work that they're super passionate about. So for me, that was the opportunity to come to LBS, to be a part of leading this team through only the second ever campaign that London Business School is doing. Something that it's something that's a bit newer, as you'll know, on this side of the pond than on the side of the pond that I grew up on. But it's something that advancement is something that is really seeing a bit of investment and some incredible growth. And our team had tremendous success with its first ever campaign that happened 2012 till 2017, thereabouts, £100 million campaign that ended up exceeding by 25% and closing early. So absolutely so much quality in this team, and just some obstacles that we needed to think about. How can we start to move those out of the way so that we could get our campaign that we're doing now, our Forever Forward effort, back on track and get going again. I came on board January of last year, so it's been just a little over a year that I'm here. It was a moment of transition for the school as well. My coming on board, and also the dean of the school at the time had already announced that he would be wrapping up his tenure, and a new dean was meant to be hired. That the search was underway. That search came to a successful close. We had a great appointment that was made for our new dean, and we've just been able to go, hit the ground running since then, to really think about how we leverage this tremendous opportunity. Now that a few roadblocks have been taken out of the way, we have a high-performing team that is being unleashed to do great work for this school.
What an
That's great.
exciting time for you and the London Business School with you're taking over the leadership and the dean there. That's great.
Yeah,
Can you,
it's been exciting.
can you tell us a little bit more about that, Emily? As you've got the new leadership and the Forever Forward campaign, you have a lot going on. What are some of the kind of central pieces of the LBS strategy? Like, what are the big priorities for the campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll chat a little bit about our new dean and the strategy that he's recently started to articulate for the school going forward, and as well how that sort of maps to our work with the campaign. So our new dean, Sergei Guriev, joined us August 1st, and he's come with such an impressive resume. He was the provost of Sciences Po in Paris. Before that, he was the chief economist of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And before that, he was rector of the New Economics School, a business and finance school in Moscow. He also has a truly inspiring life story, in addition to his incredible accolades as an economist and as an academic leader. And from the first days that he was here in London on campus with us, I have absolutely been impressed by the way that he has invested time in getting to know our community, the staff, the faculty, the students, the alumni, our supporters, our partners, our participants in our executive education programs. I could continue on the list of stakeholders that he's really spent the time and invested in getting to know. He really spent the first 6 months doing this. We also traveled extensively, Hong Kong, Dubai, New York, others that I'm surely forgetting. But coming out of all of this work, he's articulated a new strategic narrative for the school. And I really appreciate how he puts it. He says it's sort of the theory for why London Business School exists and why the world needs LBS. And it's really speaking to the 5 foundations that characterize the school, and that putting these things together, we have a sum that is greater than its parts. So we're looking at these 5 foundations around excellence. We are an excellent institution, an institution that is known for and that prioritizes our excellence in both research and in business education. And this means that we are at the top levels of research productivity. We are at the top levels of teaching and classroom innovation. We are really prioritizing this, and we see this as a hallmark of the school. We're also a school that's concerned with real world impact. So our second pillar is about this idea of impact. It's not an ivory tower exercise, what we're doing. We are an institution that is a research intensive institution that is focused on business. Business is happening in the real world. So we bridge this, and we are creating real impact through our academics and our programs and our research. We're an institution that is prioritizing global reach. This is in our DNA. We're based very much here in our London hub, and then we have a second hub in one of the other of the world's truly great global cities, Dubai. But we are a global institution. So we have students who are coming from all over the world, alumni who are coming from all over the world, and the degree of global there is truly palpable. It is something that is easy to not be able to fully appreciate until you are in an institution like LBS, where really any study group of 6 students, there will never be, a duplicated passport, always 6 different passports. We're an institution that's also, for the 4th pillar, characterized by our agility and our innovation. And that exists because we are a standalone institution, not part. While that has challenges sometimes, we don't have the sort of the security of being part of a massive university. What we do have is this ability to be incredibly agile, incredibly entrepreneurial, incredibly innovative in thinking about how we respond to the needs in the market, how we respond to the changes in the business world. If we look at what's happening around the world right now, how is business adapting? Well, we can pursue that very quickly because we are able, as a standalone institution, to pivot and to put resourcing and thought resourcing behind different innovations that are happening in the world. And then finally, the 5th is thinking about human connection. We are an institution that has said we believe, even with all the amazing things that are happening, and we are investing in digital learning and AI and all of the technologies that help support us throughout all the different aspects of life, we do believe that fundamentally at its core, business education requires some human connection. And we are very much committed to the in-person connection that happens when people come together through their graduate studies or through some of our executive education programs. And they come together and they are from different parts of the world. They have different perspectives and they learn how to work together and how to do business together. We think that that is what leads to the ability to make impact in the world together. So all of these things taken together is how we're thinking about the theory for why LBS exists, why the world needs a place like LBS, and how together all of these things combine to enable LBS to really make a profound impact both on and through business. So we've looked at this. This is really how the dean has outlined his strategic narrative, the story for the school. And we've been really linking this back to our campaign, which had been effectively paused during that period where my predecessor had already departed and before our dean was in post. And we've been refreshing the narrative around our campaign to really reflect those sort of truths, those priorities, those foundations of who we are as an institution. This has meant that we are really speaking with a renewed focus on the kind of research that is serving as the beating heart of a research institution like ours, this kind of research intensive university like ours, and also keeping the attention on the diversity and excellence in our student community and the degree to which LBS serves as a convener for people to come together in our physical campuses to learn together, to learn how to work together, and to learn how to go out back into the world and solve business problems and societal problems together. So we're still working on that last bit of work because the dean's new narrative has really only just been shared out in the world, and we're really putting the final touches on converting that to the way that we are speaking about the opportunities to invest in that vision and invest in the future of the school that's built on this characterization of how we're making an impact on and through business.
But I love that framework because you can take those 5 whys and port that straight into your team as well, right? I mean, it really works very nicely as a way to kind of think about why is your work important, right? And for your team to sort of see themselves in that work as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to jump on that for just a second, Nicole, because I've heard it said sometimes in some institutions, folks will say, well, maybe is advancement a nice to have? Is alumni engagement a nice to have? And I think if we, certainly we can look to benchmarks in parts of the world or at institutions that have invested in advancement, and they've really seen the way that that investment pays returns multifold. But when we even sort of on that micro level, looking at our own team to be able to say, actually, yeah, the work that we are doing is helping to enable and empower the excellence, the impact, the global reach, the agility, and the connection that happens in a place like London Business School. That's pretty, that's pretty reassuring. I think it's also very motivating for the team. It's one more way of removing obstacles and roadblocks and allowing people to really be able to do their best work, motivated, inspired, and buoyed by the awareness, the confidence that their work really does have an impact, not only in our institution, but more broadly.
Absolutely.
Emily, kind of built into what you were describing as far as the why behind LBS and the campaign, I would imagine there's lots of thinking around the notion of forever learning or lifelong learning and strategies that are going to resonate with people, no matter how long ago they graduated or where they live in the world. And I guess I was wondering how you all are thinking about that concept and how does it, at least in the year that you've been there and looking ahead, do you see it materializing through your programming?
Yeah, absolutely. We are thinking a lot about this. And in fact, one of the lead gifts to our campaign is actually a gift to fund work for walking the learning journey together. And that is really a way that we talk about the lifelong learning journey with our alumni community. We feel very strongly that this is a bond that we're making with our students, And as they transition from students to alumni, it's a bond that continues. And it is one about thinking about longer lives, longer careers, staying ready, staying poised to lead in the business world and to lead in solving problems through business. So we, as I said, had a fantastic lead gift to our campaign to fund this work, and it's already started to make some significant impacts in terms of the range of programs that we can offer to our community. It also has become very much embedded in the school's 5-year plan, which I can take no credit for. It existed before I arrived, but it's something that I'm very happy that my team has significant ownership and responsibility for, and that is ensuring that we are delivering on our promise of being that partner for the lifelong learning journey. So things that we've been doing through the Forever Learning program is launching this, digital launch pad for alumni where they can access the full range of learning and other benefits at sort of their fingertips. We've rolled out our alumni electives, alumni global experiences. The global experience is a core part of the student experience at LBS, where with faculty, the students go for a period of a week to some international setting and really are embedded and have their eyes opened in a very immersive and experiential way. And we're bringing this now also to the alumni community. So, folks who've been out for a number of years who want to touch, sort of reignite that learning passion and have a new set of viewpoints can do that through our Alumni Global Experiences program. All of this, I should say, sits alongside a thread of academic research at LBS. That is a thread where we've really shown a degree of leadership and have really developed a center of excellence. And it's around research around longer lives, longer careers, career transitions. We have some incredible faculty, professors Andrew Scott, Herminia Ibarra, Linda Grattan, several others who are working in this space. And it is an area where we have said, we really want this to be a continued area of focus where the research that we're doing in this space actually has practical implications for our own alumni community, as well as for the broader community around the world. We know that the demographic transitions that we're seeing in the world is leading to longer lives all over the world. This has massive implications for on macroeconomic level across economies, but it also has those micro level implications about when do people retire? What is retirement? How do we think about working when AI can do so many things for us? All of these elements become even more interesting when we think about that for maybe 80 years or 90 years instead of 50 or 60 years. So this is a really beautiful sort of lining up of something that we are thinking about for our alumni community as a practical way of staying engaged and learning, but also very much linking it to a center of excellence in research that has really been championed by several of our faculty members.
Yeah, it sort of strikes me that the idea of lifelong learning is going to go through something of a huge transition, right, over the coming years as we think about the types of learning that we need, and it seems to be changing all the time. But from Nicole, I'm not sure if you would agree, but it seems like there is much more of an emphasis on lifelong learning, not just faculty enrichment, but alumni and their professional knowledge, right, combined with faculty and their research and doing so and layering on top of programming, along life stages, right? Like programming that may be interested to people in their younger years, mid-career, and then perhaps retirement eligible years, right? There's a pathway, I think, for thinking about lifelong learning. And then I also think, depending on where you are, the idea of lifelong learning often translates into ideas around enrollment, right? Making sure that these ideas are communicating out the value of attending the institution and not just philanthropy, right? I think these are all connected. Nicole, let's pick up the conversation with Emily after the break in our bonus edition of the show where we extend the conversation. But before we say goodbye to our live audience, who are we featuring on Alumless and Alumless World?
So our next guest on Alumless is Sean Devendorf from Tufts University. So that's happening next Friday. And our next guest here on Alumless World is Serge Syke. And Serge is a senior lecturer and pro-rector of stakeholder engagement, so long title, at the International Business School in Budapest, Hungary. And we're in for a fascinating conversation about advancement in a shifting geopolitical landscape. And so I think that's unfortunately more relevant to more of us around the world than it used to be. So Serge will be here next time.
Emily, I bet you've met Serge a couple of times. Yeah.
In fact, I know him well. He's on the faculty of the Case Spring Institute, which I chair, and he's a great guest. I know people will really enjoy hearing from him.
Awesome. All right. Well, we will take a quick break. And if you are listening to the podcast, we'll be back in just a minute. But thanks for tuning in to Alumless World with Emily Robam from the London Business School, and we'll see you back in just a moment.